Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is your tropical update for June 29th. We're currently watching Invest 94L over the Yucatan Peninsula at the moment, heading into the southern Gulf of Mexico. Tropical Storm Beryl, which is likely to become a major hurricane before making landfall in the Windward Islands, then moving on to Jamaica throughout the Caribbean Sea and probably into the Gulf of Mexico after that, and then another system following in the footsteps of Beryl. As we can see here, a significant risk is likely, is possible for Grenada, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, as well as a high risk for the island of Jamaica and the island of Barbados. Moderate risks surrounding those areas, especially to the north edge where the winds are strongest, as well as storm surge, more storm surge prone areas in those areas. And again, you see everywhere. I have included a small area on the southern side of Puerto Rico, as well as the islands of Guadeloupe, and portions of Cuba, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. Of course, the southern coast of Haiti is probably the most hurricane prone to this particular system. And so this is the main event that we'll talk about. But for now, let's begin with Invest 94L. As we can see, a good amount of convection associated with the system, but it's not like an end all be all type situation. 50% chance of formation within the next 48 hours, as well as the next 5 days. We'll see if something comes of it. Again, it's kind of a toss up, 50%. I haven't updated the satellite images for the system, so I apologize for that. But the fact of the matter is, we're at winds of 70 miles an hour. The Hurricane Center is currently saying 65. The latest official track of the system shows 70, which means probably at the 5 o'clock advisory, they'll up it to 70 if it's not a hurricane by then. So this system is beginning to strengthen. It has consistently strengthened since its inception as a tropical depression yesterday, and again as a tropical storm late yesterday evening. And again, that pressure is also tanking, as we would expect with the system. Probably by the end of the day today, it will be a Category 1 hurricane making its way towards the Windward Islands, where it will eventually become a major hurricane impacting those areas. As we can see, tropical alerts, as well as tropical storm watches, hurricane watches in effect for a large number of areas. And I have also issued a major hurricane alert, as I mentioned earlier, for St. Vincent and the Grenadines in Grenada for potential major hurricane impacts. We're expecting gusts to 140 miles an hour, actual wind speeds to around 120, storm surge 5 to 7 feet. Flooding should be relatively minimized, mainly due to the quick moving nature of this storm, at least early on. Now, later, as the storm approaches, say, Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, perhaps the Yucatan Peninsula as well, we're going to have to be more concerned about potential flooding impacts. And where it goes from there is, again, anybody's guess. Like I said on this video, on this system a few days ago, this is something we're probably going to be talking about for a week or two, because it's not expected to die out. There's not really inhibitors. As you see, it does reach major hurricane strength in the Caribbean Sea, but then shear takes over the system and it begins to weaken, but it still remains a hurricane as it goes by Jamaica. If it passes a little to the north and gets interrupted by the mountains of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Cuba, then the system has a better chance of fizzling out. But at this point in time, all indications are that this system will make its way eventually to the Gulf of Mexico, where we could have a potential U.S. threat on our hands come early the week after next. Not this upcoming week, but the week after that. And we'll probably know about midweek this week whether or not we'll have U.S. impacts possible. And then by the time we get to next weekend, we'll start to have a really good idea of what those potential impacts to the U.S. might be. Again, at this point in time, probably Texas, Louisiana need to be most on guard, as we would expect from a system coming from this direction, not necessarily Mississippi, Alabama, or Florida. But of course, it is hurricane season, and we are expecting a busy hurricane season at that. As I mentioned, flooding will be a concern. We're looking at maybe 6 to 8 inches on the south side of Barbados, St. Vincent, and the northern Grenadine Islands, as well as probably the southern Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Jamaica will increase in their flood rain totals. But again, that the exact amounts of that will increase as our predictability increases with time. So we'll see what happens there. Most likely time of arrival winds, we're looking at the Windward Islands and the Leeward Islands for that matter. Probably around midnight Sunday into Monday. And then Jamaica, we can expect impacts Tuesday evening, beginning in that area. And again, Jamaica, uh, I mean, it could go to the north, it could go to the south, it could hit Jamaica dead on. And at this point, the Hurricane Center is saying a bit further to the south. Several models take the system right over the island. And again, even if it goes to the south, the strongest winds are to the north of the system. So we certainly need to be watching all of this very closely. Our final system here is the Eastern Tropical Atlantic System with a 70% chance formation within the next 7 days. The Hurricane Center is expecting this one to develop in the footsteps of Beryl. If you look at the 30 degrees west, go just to the north, that's the area of convection that we're watching. That's where the tropical wave is located. Along with all the other convection in the area, you see those blacks and those whites within the red. But again, around 30 degrees west is where we're looking at the moment. We'll continue to monitor this system for potential development after Beryl. And again, this could also impact the Caribbean nations, including first and foremost the Lesser Antilles, and then potentially the Greater Antilles later on. And who knows, maybe in Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, places like that. So again, we'll continue to monitor mainly our current tropical storm, expected to become Category 1 hurricane here before long. And we'll continue to monitor our invest for potential development if it decides to develop. And we'll continue to monitor this system, which will likely become Invest 96L here shortly. Once it gets a little more concentrated, we'll have an invest on our hands and we'll start to get better data on what could hit the islands next. So you're already expecting one. Well, actually, you guys should be expecting two systems. And if you're in the Yucatan, you've already had a system, an invest. You have a current invest over the area, and maybe even another tropical storm or two on their way. So very wet already this season, and we are expecting a very active hurricane season at that. That's all for now. Chris Hickson and Weather Media.